So I decided that I wanted to try to hold myself accountable to do more reading, and I thought maybe recording it and posting it so that I could kind of see progress in a feasible way would be good. So I'm just going to read like a chapter. This is Lady Tom's Circle of Women by Lisa C. Oh, hi Rosie. Hi Rosie. Sweet girl. It is in memory of Marina Bokelman, second mother, healer, folklorist, embroiderer. Oh, sweet girl. The author's note. This story begins in 1469 in the 5th year of the Changhua Emperor's reign. I'm probably going to butcher these names. Just saying. When Tan was 8 years old. I'm not saying that last name. I can't. When Tan was 8 years old. The title of her book has been translated different ways. The Sayings of a Woman Doctor, Miscellaneous Records of a Female Doctor, and the Comments of a Female Physician. I've adhered to the English language tradition of capitalizing certain words related to Chinese medicine that have a different semantic meaning than their lowercase equivalents, such as blood and blood. The first system to transcribe Chinese into the Roman alphabet was created by Matteo Ricci and Michel Ruggieri between 1583 and 1588, long after the events in this novel. That being the case, I've used the pinyin system of transliteration for Chinese words, which was adopted by the People's Republic of China in 1979 and adopted internationally in 1982. Last, you may be unfamiliar with the traditions of Chinese medicine, and I'm not here to advocate for or against them, but I hope you'll bear in mind the larger picture of the world when the story takes place. Columbus didn't lay sight on America. Girl, move your head. Columbus didn't lay sight on the Americas until 31 years after Tan Yongshun's birth, while the English settlement of Jamestown wasn't founded until 51 years after her death. The Western tradition of medicine at the time of Tan Yongshun's practice explained the sickness as either an imbalance or a corruption of the four humors: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile, which was thought to be the principal liquids of the body, or retribution for sins committed by the patient. Girly. Am I not paying enough attention? Okay. Most Western medicines were created out of alcohol and herbs, and bloodletting with leeches was the norm. Preface to Miscellaneous Records of a Female Doctor. Our ancient land has birthed many famous doctors, some of whom were female. It is the honor of our family lineage that my cousin Lady Tan Yongshun has produced a book of heart-mind life-saving cases. The great physician Sun Simiao wrote, "Women are 10 times more difficult to treat than a man. This is not just a matter of yin and yang, or the outside world of men and the inner chambers where women reside. It is because women become pregnant, give birth, and endure monthly loss of blood. They also suffer from being different temperaments and emotions than men. My cousin has excelled at treating women because she has shared in the losses and joys of what it means to be a female on this earth. Rulau, Metropolitan graduate with honors by Imperial Order, Grand Master for Court Precedence, Manager of the Royal Lancers. Part 1. Milk Days. The 5th year of the Chenghao Emperor's reign, 1469. To live is 1,000 years in the past, 1,000 years in the future. No matter where you live or how rich or poor you are, the 4 phases of a woman's life are the same. Respectful Lady says, you are a little girl, so you are still in milk days. When you turn 15, you will enter hair-pinning days. The way we style your hair will announce to the world that you are ready for marriage. She smiles at me. Tell me, daughter, what comes next? Rice and salt days, I answer dutifully. But my mind wanders. My mother and I sit together on porcelain stools under a covered colonnade in our home's courtyard. It's monsoon season, so the sliver of sky I can see is heavy with clouds, making the air feel humid and suffocating. 2 miniature orange trees grow side by side in matching pots. The other containers hold cymbidiums, Other containers hold cymbidiums, their stalks drooping under the weight of the blossoms. Rain is coming, but until then, birds titter in the ginkgo tree that provides a touch of coolness on the summer day. And I can smell the sea, something I've only seen in paintings. The fragrance doesn't, however, cover the unpleasant odor coming from Respectful Lady's bound feet. Your thoughts are elsewhere. Her voice sounds as frail as her body looks. You must pay attention. She reaches over and takes one of my hands. Are you having pain today? When I nod, she says, the memories of the agony you felt during your foot binding will never leave completely. There will be days from now until you die when the anguish will visit. If you've stood too long or walked too far, if the weather is about to change, if you don't take proper care of your feet. She squeezes my hand sympathetically. When they throb or smart, remind yourself that one day your suffering will be proof to your husband of your love. Focusing on something else will distract you from the pain. My mother is wise, which is why everyone in the household, including my brother, Yi Feng, and I, calls her Respectful Lady, the honorary title she carries as the wife of someone with my father's high rank. But if she can tell I'm distracted, then I can see she is too. The sound of a woman singing reaches us. Miss Zhao, my father's concubine, must be entertaining my father and his guests. You know how to concentrate when you want to, my mother goes on at last. This ability to be fully absorbed is what saves us. She pauses for a moment as male laughter, my father's voice distant in the appreciative choir, swirls around us like a fog. Then she asks, shall we continue? I take a breath. Rice and salt days are the most important years of a woman's life. They are when I will be busy with wife and mother duties. As I am now, Respectful Lady gracefully tips her head, setting the gold and jade ornaments that hung from her bun to tinkling softly. How pale she is, how elegant. Each day should begin early. I rise before dawn, cleanse my face, rinse my mouth with fragrant tea, attend to my feet, and fix my hair and makeup. Then I go to the kitchen and make sure the servants have lit the fire and begun the morning meal. She releases my hand and sighs, as though exhausted by the effort of getting so many words to leave her mouth. She takes a deep breath before continuing. Memorizing these responsibilities is essential to your education, but you can also learn by observing as I supervise the chores that must be done each day. Bringing in fuel and water, sending a big-footed servant to the market, making sure clothes, including those of Miss Sow, are washed, and so many other things that are essential to managing a household. Now what else? She's been teaching me like this for 4 years already, and I know the answer she likes me to give. Learning to embroider, play the zither, and memorize sayings from the Analects for Women. And other texts too, so that by the time you go to your husband's home, you will have an understanding of all that you must do and all you must avoid. She shifts on her stool. Eventually, you will reach the time of sitting quietly. Do you know what this means? Maybe it's because I'm feeling physical pain, but the thought of the sadness and loneliness of sitting quietly causes tears to well in my eyes. This will become when I can no longer bring children into the world. And extends into widowhood. You will be the one who has not died, waiting for death to reunite you with your husband. This is... A maid arrives with a tray of snacks so my mother and I can continue with our studies through lunch without a break. 2 hours later, respectful lady asks me to repeat the rules we've covered. When walking, don't turn my head. I recite without protest. When talking, don't open my mouth wide. When standing, don't rustle my skirts. When happy, don't rejoice with loud laughter. When angry, never raise my voice. I will bury all desire to venture beyond the inner chambers. Those rooms are for women alone. Very good, respectful lady praises me. Always remember your place in the world. If you follow these rules, you will establish yourself as a true and proper human being. She closes her eyes. She is hurting too. Only she's too much of a lady to speak of it. A squeal from my little brother interrupts our shared moment. Yi Feng runs across the courtyard. His mother, Miss Sow, free of her performing duties, glides behind him. Her feet are also bound, and her steps are so small they give the impression she's floating. Like a ghost, my mother whispers as though she's read my mind. Yi Feng flings himself at my mother. He buries his face in her lap and giggles. Miss Sow may be his mother by birth, but respectful lady not only is his ritual mother, but has formally adopted him as her son. This means Yi Feng will make offerings and perform all the rites and ceremonies after my mother and our father become ancestors in the afterworld. My mother pulls Yi Feng onto her lap, brandishing the bottoms of his shoes so the soles leave no dirt or dust on her silk gown. That is all, Miss Sow. Respectful lady. The concubine gives a polite nod and then quietly slips out of the courtyard. My mother turns to the afternoon's teaching session, which Yi Feng and I share. We will spend the day learning together until he reaches his seventh year. And when the Book of Rites orders that boys and girls should not sit at the same mat or eat at the same table, at that time Yi Feng will leave our company and move to the library to spend his hours with private tutors in preparation to take the imperial exams. Harmony should be maintained in a household, but everyone knows how hard this is. Respectful Lady begins. Consider the written characters that incorporate the radical, that means woman. Slave, demon, envy, greedy, traitor. Put woman and horse together and you get mother. Because her work never ends. But the character of one woman under a roof means peace, I offer. True, and a pig under a roof means home. Just remember, we women exist to give a man heirs and feed, clothe, and amuse him. Never forget that. While my brother recites simple poems, I work on my embroidery. I hope I'm successful at hiding my disappointment. I know Miss Zhao wasn't the only one entertaining my father and his friends. Yi Feng was also being shown off. Now, when he forgets a line, Respectful Lady glances at me to complete it for him. In this way, I'm learning what he's learning too. I'm older, so I'm much better at memorizing. I'm even good at using words and images from poems in my thoughts and when I talk. Today, though, I stumble on a line. Respectful Lady purses her lips. You will not take the imperial exams or become a scholar like your brother, she points out. But one day you will be the mother of sons to help them in their future studies. You must learn now. It stings to disappoint her when on a good day I can recite poems from the Book of Odes and read aloud from the classic of filial piety for girls. Today is not one of those days. In the late afternoon, my mother announces it's time to move on the studio. Oh, I need to practice. In the late afternoon, my mother announces it's time to move to the studio. Yi Feng and I follow, Respectful Lady, at the proper distance. The folds in her gown below and her sleeves are picked up at the breeze, just like in a painting. The air moves enough that we are awash in the odor that comes from her bound feet. A special aroma will eventually come from my own feet. My mother likes to remind me when I cry during my binding, and it will fascinate my husband. Today, the scent from my mother's feet is far from pleasing. I swallow hard as a wave of nausea washes through me. I have no memories of ever being outside our compound, and I may not pass through the main gate until I'm in my hair-pinning days and I'm taken to my husband's home in marriage. But I don't care. I love our home, especially the studio, with its whitewashed walls, simple furniture, and shelves filled with books and hand scrolls. My mother sits on one side of the table, my brother and I sit across from her. My mother watches as I grind the ink on the inkstone and mix in the water to achieve the perfect density and blackness. I hold my brush in one hand and with my other hand pull my sleeve up and back so it won't get stained. Respectful Lady has said that each calligraphy stroke must be fluid yet bold. Beside me, Yi Feng tries his best, but his characters are wobbly. Checking his work causes me to make my second mistake of the day. Instead of my stroke thinning like the end of an eyebrow, I made a blot on the paper. I lift the brush but keep my face down, staring at the mess I've made, and waiting for my mother to say something.